In high definition, this is News Channel 5, where the news comes first.
Deadly rampage. A factory worker went to his job Thursday morning armed with 3 guns.
We had victims on the parking lot and also inside the building.
Before he was done, he shot 8 co-workers, killing 3.
He was a wonderful person.
The world, this area is a worse off place now. He's gone.
Tonight, what we're learning about the suspect, his victims, and his motivation. Good evening. We have live team coverage tonight of the shooting rampage at ABB Incorporated. Mike Owens is at the ABB building in North St. Louis. He'll explain what happened as the suspect started shooting and when he ended up killing himself. Ann Rubin is outside Barnes Jewish Hospital with the conditions of the surviving victims and how family and friends are remembering those killed. And Casey Joyce is at St. Louis Police Headquarters downtown with what we know about the suspect. We begin with Mike Owens, who's been tracking this story since it began early this morning. Mike?
Mike, the ABB factory makes electrical transformers and employs about 200 people. This morning, a 30-year employee of this factory showed up for the job with 3 weapons and plenty of ammunition. Work starts at 6:30 at the ABB factory, and that's when the shooting started, too. First outside on the parking lot, where 2 men were killed, then inside.
Dozens of officers responded initially, along with our tactical team. When they entered the building, they immediately found 1 victim, a white male we believe to be the shooter. He was pronounced deceased on the scene.
Police didn't take any chances and continued a careful search of the building, one that took most of the day, as police worried the suspect may have had more than just a handgun, a shotgun, and an assault rifle.
Certainly, we want to make sure that all the weapons are cleared from the location, and we want to collect any evidence that help us piece together what happened today.
Could he have left a device behind?
We're not sure, but we are certainly clearing the entire location.
Shortly after police arrived, it appears they loaded 1 injured victim into the back of a patrol car, his foot nearly dragging in the snow. As police searched the building, they were getting 911 calls from other employees who were hiding out in storerooms and closets and even on the roof, wondering if it was safe. For a time, police used axes and hammers from the fire department to get into the offices in the complex, looking for victims who may have been wounded. Police are working closely with company officials to investigate the crime, but they will not discuss a motive.
We're working with the managers and representatives of ABB to piece together the puzzles of what happened today, and certainly we'll be doing quite a few interviews, and the investigation will be continuing, but we are not really sure what was the motive for today's shooting.
At this point, the police department has released the ages and the races of those who were shot, wounded, or killed today. They've not released any names at all. All but one of those are over the age of 50, including the gunman. As for race, the wounded and the dead are evenly divided by race, 4 black, 4 white. The gunman was white. Now to my colleague Ann Rubin for more on this story. Ann?
Well, some of the victims were taken here to Barnes Jewish Hospital. Others were pronounced dead at the scene. Tonight, we are beginning to learn more about those people.
For several years, the Kellys have called Carlton Carter their neighbor, but really, he was more than that.
Really, he was just like a brother. I mean, really. Blood. To me, he was like a blood brother to me.
And then they got word. Carter was one of the victims shot and killed at ABB. The 57-year-old had just arrived at work, prompt as always, when he was gunned down in the parking lot.
She said, Carlton is dead. She said he was shot in his car.
They describe him as quiet, kind, and always ready with a hug. He loved his job and his tight-knit family.
He was just a nice neighbor, and we're going to miss him. I know I am. I'm going to miss him.
Also among the deceased, 27-year-old Corey Wilson. Wilson had been a football standout at Collinsville High School, who went on to play at McKendree University. He then coached the sport, in addition to his responsibilities as a supervisor at ABB. Friends say he led by example.
He always had a smile on his face. He could pick you up. He could make you feel good about yourself. He was a kid that you wanted your daughter to date and your son to grow up to be like.
Just a good football coach and a better person.
Those who knew him say they're still in shock that someone so admired is now gone.
He never left the community. He's given back to the community, and this town's going to miss him.
As for the injured, we now know that there are 2 people who remain in critical condition tonight, 2 people in fair condition, and 1 person has been treated and released. Live outside Barnes Jewish Hospital, Ann Rubin, News Channel 5.
Now, police say the suspect in this shooting is a 51-year-old man who died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the scene. Police aren't releasing his name, but as News Channel 5's Casey Joyce explains, we're learning more tonight about a person police are investigating. Casey?
Well, Mike, police are investigating a man named Timothy Hendren, who is a long-term employee at ABB. Hendren is 51 years old, just like the shooter in this case, but as of right now, police are not willing to confirm that he is the shooter. But this morning when we went to Hendren's house in Webster Groves, police were already there and officers chased us off. When we went back tonight, a woman at the house told us she didn't want to comment. The neighbors say Hendren lived in the house with his wife and son. One of Hendren's co-workers at ABB says he was a supervisor there. He says Hendren was kind of standoffish and sometimes his behavior was even explosive. We have confirmed that Hendren was a plaintiff in a lawsuit against his employer, ABB, and that lawsuit went to federal court in Kansas City earlier this week. Now, police are not going to release the suspect's name until tomorrow. That's because they're trying to notify all of the suspect's relatives and get someone to come down and positively identify him. Once we have that information, of course, we'll let you know on KSDK and KSDK.com. Live downtown outside police headquarters, Casey Joyce, News Channel 5.
Now, as Casey mentioned, Timothy Hendren was a plaintiff in a class action lawsuit against ABB. That bench trial began on Tuesday in U.S. District Court in Kansas City, and the defendants were ABB and its Pension Review Committee. The 4 plaintiffs, including Hendren, were suing because of financial losses. I'm told that while many trials were delayed today because of the weather in Kansas City, that trial was in session even after the shooting. ABB is working closely with authorities and will be closed Friday so police can continue their investigation. Tonight, a spokesperson for the international company arrived in St. Louis. He says their main priority now is employees and their families.
Well, it's a shock. You know, we haven't experienced anything like this at this plant ever. At this point, we're really just trying to sort of piece things together, figure out what happened, and mainly we're just concerned with our employees and making sure that they're okay.
ABB has made arrangements for counseling services to be provided for employees. Recapping our top story, 4 people are dead, 5 others injured after an early morning shooting at ABB Incorporated in North St. Louis. The gunman is believed to be among the dead. His name has not been released, but News Channel 5 has learned police are investigating an employee named Timothy Hendren of Webster Groves. Those killed include 27-year-old Corey Wilson, 57-year-old Carlton Carter, and a 55-year-old man who has not been identified. Of the 5 injured, 2 are in critical condition, 2 are in fair condition, and 1 was treated and released. Our coverage continues online at KSDK.com. You can leave condolences for the victims and see photos from the scene. Just click on the story at the top of the homepage.